You may have seen the viral video of Stacey Abrams. It's amazing. In it, she says that there's no such thing as a heartbeat at 6 weeks, a fetal heartbeat at 6 weeks. And in fact, it is just a fake sound made by the ultrasound so that men can control women's bodies. It's remarkable. I don't recall there ever being a meeting of men to determine that in order to control women's bodies, we needed to fake the sound of a fetal heartbeat in an ultrasound. But sure, that's the argument she's making. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the nightmare dystopia, where definitions change, history is mutable, and as long as the agenda requires it, the narrative will mold reality into whatever the stupid people will believe. I love it. Oh, they believed Jussie Smollett. They believed Russiagate, Ukrainegate, Michael Brown, Ahmaud Arbery. They believe it. They believe all of it. They always believe it. And the best part is you can literally go back in time, change the story, and they'll believe that's how it always was. I give you from the Daily Mail. Planned Parenthood watered down its fetal heartbeat guidance from saying a baby's heart does develop at 6 weeks to calling it embryonic cardiac activity a month before Stacey Abrams' incendiary comments. Okay. They weren't incendiary comments. They were unhinged. There's no cabal of men who are like, women just seem to want to abort their babies. I know. Let's make a machine that plays the fake sound of a heartbeat. By Jove, I think he's got it. And then all of a sudden, women everywhere went, a heartbeat? No, I don't want to abort my baby. That's just not reality. It's just, that's not the thing. Okay. Well, now what we're seeing is these institutions will change definitions, alter them. In this instance, it's not the same as like, there's a bunch of stories we have where Joe Biden, like a bad thing will happen. And then Biden will be like, actually, bad thing didn't happen. And then all of a sudden the media goes, actually, yes, it's not a bad thing. And you're like, but it's happening. A good example is the recession. So for the longest time, we've been told that a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. So we hit a recession and then Joe Biden comes out and he's like, it's not a recession. And then the media goes, actually, he's correct. It's not a recession. And then all of these woke liberal or just like corporate Dem people are coming out with tweets being like agreeing with Biden. And everyone's showing that like a year ago, you said it was a recession. Now you're saying it's not. This is the game they play. In this instance, Planned Parenthood recently changed their definition. Now Stacey Abrams is saying something nonsensical. So they got ahead of this one. This one could actually be that Stacey Abrams reads stuff like this and then believes the psychotic nonsense and comes up with unhinged conspiracy theories like there's some grand patriarchy. I love this so much. At least the Illuminati people believe that there's a multi-gendered approach to taking over the world. But these people are like, it's patriarchy. Yes, the Illuminati is only men. Okay, I don't believe that there is a grand cabal. I just think that birds of a feather flock together and rich, wealthy people hang out with each other. And I don't think that the world is completely under the control of one group of people. It's just nonsense. Competing interests, competing elites. It's just conflict. It's conflict. With Donald Trump, you've got a civil war among the elites. And now I give you this. Let's read this story. Planned Parenthood quietly changes its guidance for pregnant mothers at the height of the Roe v. Wade debate earlier this year, from telling them a baby's heartbeat could be detected at 6 weeks to instead describing it as activity that sounds like a heartbeat. Oh. The advice changed sometime before August this year and was picked up on by scientists at the time, when the country and the world was debating America's position on abortion. The change gains new relevance today in the context of the controversy surrounding Stacey Abrams, a Democrat who said earlier this week that a 6-week fetal heartbeat was a manufactured sound invented by men to control women and prevent abortions. The old Planned Parenthood advice contradicted her explicitly. It told mothers that a very basic beating heart and circulatory system develop in weeks 5 and 6 of pregnancy. The new advice offers this more watered-down version. A part of the embryo starts to show cardiac activity. It sounds like a heartbeat in an ultrasound, but it's not a fully formed heart. It's the earliest stage of the heart developing. Heavens me! Cardiac activity cannot occur without a cardiac, right? I'm kidding in how I framed that. Hopefully you understand. You can't have heart-related activity without a rudimentary heart. And yes, there's a fetal heartbeat. It's like you can actually see it doing its thing. Here we go. Initially, it said, what's happening during week 5 and 6? The embryo is less than a fifth of an inch. A very basic beating heart and circulatory system develop. Buds for arms and legs develop. The neural tube begins forming. The neural tube will later form the brain, spinal cord, and major nerves. The bud of a tail develops. Ugh, we have tails. The umbilical cord begins developing. Cool. It now says the embryo is less than a fifth of an inch. A part of the embryo starts to show cardiac activity. It sounds like a heartbeat on an ultrasound, but it's not a fully formed heart. It's the earliest stage of the heart developing. Buds for arms, neural tube, the bud of the tail, the umbilical cord. Amazing. This guy Nathan says, I think I still have the screenshot of the original from just a few weeks ago. Amazing how quickly empirical observation and interpretation of repeated experiments in controlled environments can revolutionize biology in such a short time. Can a fetal heartbeat be detected at 6 weeks? Yes, but it's not a fully formed heart, and it depends on your definition of heartbeat. And that's the game they're playing. Because if you were to come out, it's just so obvious why they're doing this, okay? It's so obvious. The heartbeat bills. There have been attempts at banning abortion once a heartbeat is detected. So now they're saying it's not a heartbeat. It's not, no, there's no heart. It's just a clump of cells. You know what, man? I'm not a fan of abortion. I'm not pro-life. And that's the political term. I'll put it this way. I am anti-abortion, but unfortunately for many on the right, I'm just a bit more libertarian. And I have some issues with the way things can be run. And there, I don't know. It's tough. I feel like there's no real good answer. You know, I'll tell you my issue. I don't like abortion. I don't like these manipulations. I don't like it when they try claiming it's a heartbeat and life begins at conception, period. There's no logical argument otherwise. None whatsoever. Every time I've had a debate with these pro-abortion people, they come out overtly they always have a different definition of when life begins. I think it was Vosh who said sometime after birth. It's like, dude, what is your criteria for being alive? And then it starts to become obvious. Why is it that these Democrat types, these elitists, are okay with lying to everybody? Because their view of whether or not you're alive is based upon your ability to comprehend. And there is a big distinction between them and us. Now, let me just say, before I get into all that, when it comes to the issue of abortion, I don't like the idea of the government requiring proof or evidence, There's a privacy issue. Like the original Roe v. Wade was an interesting ruling. I think once the baby is viable, it should not be allowed because the baby can just survive on its own. And as viability through technology is becoming earlier and earlier, well, then so be it. And then there's challenges there. The government forcing an individual to provide their body to another individual is a worrying thought to me. So I think it's an important thing to point out. But what we're getting to here, they want to reconstruct what the definition is for the sake of the legal argument about abortion. So going back to what we were saying, what I was just saying with people like Vosh being unable to define when life begins. Democrats lie. Russiagate, Ukrainegate, Michael Brown, Ahmaud Arbery, Trayvon Martin. Oh, come on. Jussie Smollett, the list goes on. Their view of the world is that better men and smarter people should be in charge and in control. And if you're too stupid, well, then you shouldn't be allowed. I get it. I do. I just don't think they're smart either. So you see the problem? I have an issue with stupid people taking the reins and running full speed with control of a system. I think most people should have an issue with that. I also think that there's no real good way to determine who is the appropriate person because they're smarter to run the system. In which case, decentralization is probably the best. And I think it comes from humility. I don't think I'm the smartest person in the world. In fact, I think I get things wrong quite a bit. I think I have a tendency to get things right on fact basis, but predictions, not always correct. And that's just reality. And it's a good example of why I shouldn't be the arbiter of truth and morality and be in charge. Why I should just be another person saying, I did some research. Here's what I think. What do you guys think? I think they're wrong. I believe in a more decentralized system, thus a bit more libertarian. But these people believe in you have to be smart and conscious of the truth and reality. You have here's the way I see it. The reason they don't care about lying to you is because they think if you're not smart enough to see through the lie, you don't deserve to in the first place. I mean, it's people like Bill Gates. It's people like these globalists, maybe that's the wrong word, these population agenda types. The ones who are talking about having less kids and all that, the opposite of Elon Musk, I guess. Michael Bloomberg, he's a good example. He said we should tax sugary drinks because people are too stupid. He said we should tax the poor because they're too stupid to know what's good for them. Well, he's partially right. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who aren't smart enough to know what's right for them. And I don't know. It's just true. It's a fact. They don't. Sugary drinks, bad for you. Don't drink them. I've been doing mostly keto. Then I did like a little bit of carbs. I just took the carbs back out again. And you know what? It's a reminder. Cutting the carbs from my diet, I feel better than ever. It's insane. I feel like there's electricity surging through my body once I cut the sugars out. It's nuts. Just more fats, bacon and eggs. Go nuts with it. Here's what they think. They think they should be in charge because they're smarter than you. And this correlates perfectly with abortion. A baby isn't smart. So who cares if you kill it? When Vosh said on Timcast IRL that life begins some point after birth, you start to see exactly what their worldview is. You can kill a baby because it doesn't have the cognitive abilities of better men. So who cares? That's it. I think that really is it. Their only concern is whether or not you are conscious of certain facts. If they can lie to you and you believe them, that's your fault and they can't be held responsible. I don't like that world. I don't. You know, I've talked to a lot of people, even people on the right, who have said, talked about how some people just aren't smart enough to comprehend, so we should be careful and control what these people can and can't do. Now, I get it. I mean, every conservative in the world is, or in the country, I should say, but in the world is probably going to look at the woke left and be like, those people shouldn't be voting. You even have people who say repeal the 19th, conservatives, because women shouldn't vote because they're too emotional and stuff like that. Sorry, I just don't fall in that camp. I think we should just give people the information. We should be stoic, pragmatic to a certain degree. Not in the proper sense, but just in the give people the facts and then see if a decentralized system of people who know what's really going on can solve the problem. That, it tends to always be the solution. You can build one supercomputer or you can network 1 million computers. And a network of 1 million computers is as powerful or more than a supercomputer. Here's the issue with humans. People like Stacey Abrams, these Democrats, they think they are the supercomputer, but they're not. They're really dumb. But they think they're smarter and better than you, and thus they should be allowed to run things. And therein lies the problem. You shouldn't, because you can't. There is no smarter person. There is no smarter human. We are all, to a certain degree, stupid. You may think you're clever because you know how to set a trap. You may think you're clever because you can win a debate. But winning a debate is not the end-all be-all. I saw recently this video of it was Herschel Walker, I think, and he's like, I'm not that smart. And Warnock, he's a preacher. He's a smart man. He's going to embarrass me. I mean, that's all true, I think. But let's take a look at this. Is the epitome of human value in intelligence? I don't think so. I think there's certainly high value in intelligence. And I think an intelligent person with good work ethic can save the world. Somebody who is strong can also save the world in a different way. And I think it's among the Democrats, they don't value that. A strong man or woman, trained, a fighter, not a thinker. Can they do as much as the smart man? They could do more, technically. How about this? How many pencil pushers, paper pushers, what's the right expression? How many of them stopped Hitler? Actually, a decent amount. Their contributions, cracking the code, making plans, it was all necessary. But it was impossible without strong men, not smart men. Now, to a certain degree, there's intelligence and there's strength. But my point is, when I look at a life, I don't judge that life based on whether it can think. I judge it based on whether or not it's an independent life. When it comes to eating animals, I am no vegan. I'm going to go enjoy myself some fresh bacon after I wrap up this video. Because I understand what life is. We are humans. We are omnivorous. We eat plants. We eat animals. We do our best. I understand that we may want to preserve and protect life at all times. but not all life, because certainly we have to eat. We have to eat plants or animals. That's life too. And that's just a reality. We're not plants. We don't just absorb sunlight. Well, some people think they do. I recognize the nature of reality. A story I like to tell is about my Ukrainian friend who was telling me about how they were doing right by the rest of the world, or, they're trying to save the world and all that. And I was like, you're using this computer that was made by slaves in Asia. It's not about the world. It's about your immediate friends, family, and community. This was years ago, mind you. But that's true. I sit here staring at a very expensive camera. I've got very expensive speakers and monitors, probably produced by crippling slave labor in a foreign country. And I get it. I'm not so stupid that I would ignore the fact that I'm able to do this because there are people who make substantially less money who build these machines for me so that I can sit atop some ivory tower or sit within the city, the shining city on the hill, and have access to this. Now, I wouldn't mind spending more money for it, working harder if it was American made and stuff like that. And so we do our best. But this is the nature of the world. And so we do our best. We try not to be exploiters. We try not to entertain slave labor. I can't stand Apple. So I try to avoid it. Not like Samsung's all that much better. It's tough. It's not easy. And you can sit here and pretend you're some noble activist who's like, I will only eat plants and I won't use devices made by slave labor. It's like, dude, no matter what you do, you want to be effective, recognize your position in the hierarchy of the world. And that means some people have it bad and some people have it good. I'm not a fan of everything, and I wish we could have this utopian, lateral, communist-style society. I mean, ideologically, I don't think communism works. But this idea that we could all be equals and shake hands and trade freely and truly respect the value of labor, and yeah, right. It's never going to happen. So long as there are exploiters and smart people, it's just not possible. Or sociopaths. Manipulators. And that's what I see here with the Democrats. They don't value life. They value calculation. They think your value is in your ability to produce for them. And then they claim Republicans are all the same. Well, let's be real. They point the finger at Republicans, and many of those Republicans are exactly like the Democrats, the uniparty establishment elites. They don't care about regular people. I do worry sometimes. Bill Gates, he thinks there's too many people in Africa. That's kind of creepy. Okay, whatever. Now he's bringing corn to Africa, and I just don't trust him. I really don't. Here's a guy who goes on stage and he says that there's too many Africans. And then he's like, I'm going to go give them all injections and food. And I'm like, I don't believe you. Don't. I suppose the argument is that he's saying that if you bring technological advancement to Africa, that will naturally result in population reduction like we see in other places. I don't believe him. I just don't trust the guy. He flew on Epstein's plane. I don't think Trump ever flew on Epstein's plane, but there are photos of Trump with Epstein. So it's like, dude, I don't care who you are. I'm not going to sit here and defend anybody. I just don't. Get these creepy weirdos out. Let me show you something. Dictionary definition of female mentioning gender identity draws criticism. Oh, they changed definitions. Here's another one. PolitiFact. The White House is now trying to protect Joe Biden by changing the definition of the word recession. False. No, it's true. Bill Clinton. The colloquial definition. You see the games they play? The colloquial definition was always, or I should say for 50 years it's been, 2 consecutive periods of negative growth. And what now? And what now, my friends? When it finally hits Joe Biden, they say, no, technically, that's not a recession. That's not. If there are people who are stupid enough to fall for it, their attitude is, then you should. That's crazy. I've known business people like that. There's a business guy. I'm not going to say his name. And he has this attitude and this mentality of, it's not my fault. It's yours. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that, I'll give you an example. I'm going to go have a meeting with all my employees. I'm going to call a company-wide meeting and say, ladies and gentlemen, we did it. We won the lottery, everybody. We won the lottery. This is big news for us. Opening a lot of doors. Congratulations. Pizza on me. Let's bring in the drinks. Everyone's cheering like, whoa, Tim won the lottery? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Then everyone starts going around talking about how amazing it is. Our jobs are secure. We won the lottery. It was the pick 3. I won $10, but I won the lottery. You see how the game works? I've seen it a lot of times. Presumptive language. convince people to boost morale. Hey, I never said I won $1 million. I said I won the lottery. That's true. You didn't ask. I've seen how people do that stuff. It's a Democrat thing. It's a Republican. It's an elite thing. If you're stupid enough to fall for it without inquiring further and asking questions, it's your fault. I don't believe in that stuff. I think you're supposed to try to help people understand. This is where we're going. The reason why they're changing the definition of heartbeat is because of the heartbeat bills. Because now they're going to come out and be like, but there's no heartbeat. Look, everyone agrees. There's no heartbeat. What are you talking about? So then when they're like, when a heartbeat is detected, they'll be like, heartbeats don't start until 6 months. Yeah, your law's void. The reason I bring up the dictionary definition of female is for the same reason. The law says we protect on the basis of sex. They start coming out saying there isn't such a thing. And then all of a sudden the laws are void and women lose all of their protections. Welcome to the brave new world, my friends. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.